Welcome to Curious Minds Unmasked podcast, where we uncover the hidden wonders of the world.
Ever get this urge to, grab a shovel and see what's really going on under our feet?
I'm picturing you digging a really, really deep hole right now.
Right.
Ugh.
Well, today's deep dive is all about what might be down there, way down there. We're talking hollow Earth.
Oh, now that's a theory that never gets old. A classic for a reason.
Our viewers sent in this video exploring the whole hidden civilizations inside the Earth thing, and honestly, it's wild.
It's a concept that's been around for centuries, this idea of Earth being hollow with all this space inside just begging to be explored.
And it's not just some fringe idea either. The video mentions some pretty big names who bought into this.
You've got to start with Edmund Halley back in the 17th century. Yeah, the Halley, the comet guy. He was convinced Earth was made up of, get this, concentric spheres.
Concentric spheres, like a bunch of Earths nested inside each other.
Basically. And between those spheres, he thought there was luminous gas.
Luminous gas. Okay, now I'm picturing something out of a fantasy novel.
He believed that gas was what caused the auroras, the northern and southern lights.
Wow, so even back then they were trying to explain those. We know a bit more about how auroras work now, though.
Yeah, science has come a long way since then. Turns out it's all about charged particles from the sun interacting with our atmosphere.
Still makes you wonder what future generations will make of our current scientific theories, right?
Absolutely. It really highlights how science is all about constantly discovering and refining our understanding.
Right, like we think we've got it figured out, and then boom, new evidence changes everything. But going back to the hollow Earth idea, the video also mentions Richard E. Byrd, the polar explorer. Claims he flew into an inner Earth paradise back in the 1940s.
Ah, yes. Bird's Lost Diary. Lush landscapes, creatures straight out of prehistory, the whole 9 yards. It's a story that gets linked to the hollow Earth theory a lot, but let's just say the evidence is a bit, shall we say, questionable.
You're being diplomatic. But I get it. People want to believe. And honestly, the whole hidden civilization thing is not just a Western idea, right? The video talks about Agartha and Shambhala, these legendary cities full of wisdom and advanced tech, supposedly hidden somewhere on Earth.
And those are just two examples. Stories of hidden lands, mystical cities, lost civilizations. They pop up all over the world. Asia, Europe, Africa, the Americas, you name it. It seems this desire for a hidden, maybe even better world is something that resonates with people across cultures and throughout history.
Okay, so we've got centuries of speculation, some big names, and myths from all over the globe. But at some point, we've got to ask, what does science actually say about all this?
Well, that's where things get a little less, shall we say, mysterious, because the modern scientific understanding of how Earth is structured doesn't really leave a lot of room for vast, hollow spaces.
In other words, no hidden underground kingdoms. Bummer. Okay, so how do we know what's going on way down there?
Scientists use a bunch of different methods to study Earth's interior, but seismology is a big one. Basically, they analyze how seismic waves, the vibrations from earthquakes travel through the planet.
And by travel through, you mean they can, map out what they're passing through?
Exactly. It's like giving the Earth a giant ultrasound. Those waves change speed and direction depending on what kind of material they're moving through. And from that data, we get a pretty clear picture of Earth's insides. Which brings us to plate tectonics.
Plate tectonics. Oh, yeah, the whole continents drifting around thing. Please refresh my memory on that one.
Picture this, the Earth's crust, not one big solid thing, but broken up into these massive pieces, plates, and they're floating, well, not literally floating, more like sliding around on top of this kind of gooey layer deeper down called the mantle.
Gooey. That's a technical term, right?
Hey, it works. But yeah, that movement, that's what causes earthquakes, volcanoes, even how mountains form. We call it plate tectonics, and it's been shaping Earth for, well, a really, really long time.
So no solid Earth, no hollow space, just a constant slow-motion dance of continents.
Pretty much. And all that evidence from seismology, from studying plate tectonics, it all points to the same conclusion. Earth's interior, it's not empty. It's actually this incredibly complex, dynamic system of layers, each with its own unique thing going on.
So much for our hopes of a sprawling subterranean metropolis. But, okay, I gotta ask, the video mentions all these supposed entrances to hollow Earth, the poles, the Amazon rainforest, even mountains in Asia.
Yeah, those locations definitely fire up the imagination, don't they? Take the poles, for example. Incredibly harsh environments, hard to get to, shrouded in mystery. It's easy to see how stories of hidden worlds would spring up around places like that.
Right. Like, what's really going on down there?
Exactly. And then you've got places like the Amazon rainforest, right? I mean, Talk about unexplored territory. So much biodiversity, so much we still don't know about. Makes it easy to imagine ancient civilizations thriving, hidden beneath the canopy, totally cut off from the outside world.
It's like something out of an adventure movie just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah.
But, putting aside the actual science of it all for a second, I'm struck by how deeply this Hollow Earth idea is woven into our stories, our myths, our pop culture. It's like this universal what if.
Totally. And you can't talk Hollow Earth without mentioning Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, right?
Yes.
A classic. But it goes beyond that. We see it everywhere. Books, movies, video games. It's this idea that just won't quit.
It's that sense of adventure, of the unknown. It's just too good to resist. Right.
It speaks to that deep human need for wonder, for the possibility of something more, something extraordinary existing just beyond our reach. Even if we know logically that it's not scientifically possible, there's still that part of us that wants to believe.
Speaking of believing the impossible, things get even wilder when the video brings up UFOs.
Ah, yes, because why not throw extraterrestrials into the mix, right?
Right. Like, what if those unexplained lights in the sky aren't coming from outer space, but from, well, inner Earth? Talk about a plot twist.
It's definitely a new spin on things, and it shows how easily these kinds of ideas can get linked together. Hollow Earth, UFOs, ancient astronauts, they all tap into this human fascination with the unknown, the unexplained.
And then, just when I thought we'd reach peak out there territory, the video mentions interdimensional beings and portals to other realms. Like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Well, we did say this theory had a tendency to stretch the limits of imagination, but you have to admit there's something undeniably intriguing about the idea of other dimensions, other realities existing right alongside our own, hidden from view.
Okay, I'll admit, as much as my rational brain is throwing up red flags, a small part of me is kind of hoping there's some truth to all of this, but maybe it's time to reel it back in a bit and come back to the real world.
Probably a good idea. Because as much fun as it is to entertain these wild theories, it's also important to remember what we do know, what the evidence tells us.
I hear you. So, putting aside the speculation,
Yeah.
what do you find most fascinating about this whole Hollow Earth thing? Why do you think it's endured for so long, even with science basically saying, nope, not a thing?
You know, it's funny. As I was going through all this stuff for this deep dive, I noticed something.
Oh, yeah? What's that? It's like every story, every theory we've talked about, they all kind of revolve around this idea of searching for something more, something hidden.
Right. Like humanity's always had this itch to uncover what's out of sight, or in this case, what's underneath.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
we're standing on this solid ground, but there's this nagging feeling, is that all there is? It's like that drive that made people sail around the world, explore uncharted territories, even blast off into space.
And look at what we've found because of that drive. We've mapped the globe, discovered new species, landed on the moon. It's kind of in our nature to push those boundaries, see what's over the next horizon, or under it, I guess, if we're talking Hollow Earth.
Exactly. And even if we don't find exactly what we're looking for, though, let's be real, finding a whole civilization chilling beneath our feet would be epic. The journey itself is kind of the point, isn't it?
Totally. The act of searching, questioning, exploring, it changes our perspective. Like, take Edmund Halley, right? His Hollow Earth model might be scientifically inaccurate now, but hey, he was trying to explain the auroras, trying to understand this huge, mysterious universe. That's pretty cool if you ask me.
It's that quote, the most exciting phrase in science isn't eureka, but that's funny.
Yeah.
It's that moment when something doesn't quite fit, when there's a mystery to unravel. That's where the real breakthroughs happen.
And sometimes that mystery leads us to discoveries we never could have predicted. That's the beauty of science, exploration in general, really. You never know where it's going to take you.
So, while we might not be booking tickets for a tour of Agartha anytime soon, still holding out hope for that, by the way. I think this deep dive has given us something pretty valuable.
And what would that be?
A reminder that it's okay to be curious, to ask big questions, even if the answers seem impossible. It's that sense of wonder that keeps us engaged with the world, keeps our minds open to new possibilities.
Couldn't agree more. Who knows what incredible discoveries are still out there waiting to be made. Maybe someday we'll uncover something that totally rewrites our understanding of Earth, the universe, everything.
And until then, we keep exploring, keep questioning, keep that sense of wonder alive, because who knows what's lurking just around the corner, or in this case, maybe under our feet.
Exactly. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Big thanks to everyone for joining us as we explored the intriguing if not so scientifically sound, world of the hollow Earth.
And remember, keep those curious minds engaged because the universe is full of mysteries just waiting to be uncovered. Until next time.